All right. Welcome to this episode of Hammering Down. I'm your host, Kaylor Hodges, and I am joined by the one, the only Bruno Lapa. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably know who he is. You definitely heard of him. Hailing from, I believe it's pronounced right, Curitiba, out of Piranha, Brazil. Uh, did his youth days at Atletico Paranense, and
Yes,
then
good job.
and then moved to Montverde, and then went to Wake Forest, and now is with the Legion. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Well, Kayla, thanks so much for having me here. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you today, and let's get it going.
All right. Well, I want to go ahead just start with obviously you're from Brazil and you ended up coming to the US. But before you came to the US, like I said, you were with I think it's Club Atletico Paranense. And
Yes, yes.
what was that experience like, just training with a pretty successful group with right before and right after winning pretty significant
hmm
titles in Brazil? What was that experience like?
Yes, yes. It was funny how it all started. As you know, it's a pretty successful club here in Brazil. But my mom one day was watching. We were at home, and she was at the window watching a few kids playing around, and they all had uniforms and things like that. And she came to me and said, "Hey, well, why don't we go there and check it out and see what they're doing and then what's the deal with that club?" And nah, mom, I don't want it. I'm tired. So the week after that, she said the same thing. Okay, let's go check it out and see what's up. And that's okay, mom, let's go. And that was like a little school of the club from Atlético Paranaense. So we went there, and right away, my mom tried to get me in, and the coach said, yes, hop in and let's see how it is. And that's how it started. It started in a little school. I was around 8, 9 years old. I'm playing soccer since I'm 5 years old, but at that club was when I was 8. So I started training there, and then from there I got selected to be a part of the club. So and then I played from Atletico until I was probably around 16 years old. So it was funny how it all started in a little school from the club, and then I got moved into the academy. So that was a cool experience. As you know, it's a good club. So for me, kind of learning everything and developing my soccer abilities with the club was special. It's a very well known club, not only from what they do in the professional level, but also in the academy level. So um, it was good. I enjoyed it. I was also playing at home in my city, so it was nice that I was close to home and being able to have the support of my family. But then everything, as you know, it came to an end, and then I had to move on from the club. So, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I still have a little, still support the club and respect the club. And I see the success, and I'm very happy with it. Made a lot of friends too, so that was nice.
So obviously you said you still have a little bit of a connection with the club and I guess you follow it just a little bit. I'm sure it probably made the news somehow in Brazil, but please tell me you saw the fight that happened in the U17 final. Please tell me you saw that.
Yes, yes, I saw it. I saw it. I actually have one of my friends that he's actually at Virginia Tech. He's a close friend of mine. We actually met in the United States, and he also played for the same academy as me in Atletico. And he sent me the video, and we talked about it a little bit. But yeah, it was actually very recent. Where did you see it?
Strangely enough, I found it when I was researching the club. And if you're
Mm,
listening and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I believe it was the U17 final. And
yes,
that
yes.
and there was a kind of a scrappy tackle. I didn't think it was overly dirty, but it set something off, and then a sub came out of left field and took a flying kick to one of the other players' heads, which it was absolutely insane because I saw that there was a final and I was like, oh, this is the youth academy he went to. And then I,
Mm-hmm.
I like I said to start or like I said to Bruno before, I can't speak Portuguese, so I had no idea what I was about to get into. And then I just see a flying kick out of the bottom of the camera. So if you have a chance, go look that up.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit of a non soccer situation, and unfortunately, we'll have moments like this. But but I guess that's just how it is.
So is that a I mean, obviously things like that it made news because it wasn't normal. But is that kind of a difference you see from football culture in Brazil to the US? Is that it's just much more scrappy and much more just
It,
intense?
yeah, I guess so. Of course, we don't support and we don't like to see moments like this, right? People fighting and kind of going away from what the game is. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of passion here in Brazil when it comes to soccer um, or football, how you want to call it. It's by far the most famous sport here, and it's kind of like a religion. It's like people really love the game and the club that they support. That becomes like a passion, and people tattoo themselves with the club and the faces of players, and people really love soccer over here. So there's a lot of passion of it. I think not only here but around the world, you see that passion going with soccer. So it's something that we're definitely starting to see in the United States as well. So it's exciting to see that how people are loving the game and the sport is growing and it's becoming something that people are really supporting and going to the games and finding clubs to be a part of. So, but yeah, there's a lot of that in Brazil. Unfortunately, a bit of over dirtiness or people kind of like I said, like start fighting things like that. But um, it's academy, and I think people learn, and hopefully it's a learning experience for everybody.
Absolutely. Going on to your next academy experience, how did you go from, Piranha, Brazil to Florida? How did you make it to Montverde? How was how were you recruited there?
Yeah, so I had a friend that knew the director of Moorvid Academy, Mike Potempo, and he connected us a year earlier than I went. He actually came to my city to talk to me and watch me play. And at first, I was a little bit scared to leave my city and my friends and my family and everything, and kind of just moving to a new country where I didn't speak the language at the time and didn't know much about it. So at first I was a little bit holding myself back, but a year later, the opportunity came in again. I was talking to Mike, and he's like, "Okay, just come check it out. Come for a week, and see what you think about the level of the program, the opportunities that you're gonna have here, and education and everything." So I went there for a week, and I just fell in love with the situation, the program. I was training there for a week, and the level was very high. Mike Patempa does a great job of recruiting players and also developing players at Monverde Academy. So um, I was excited, and whenever I got back home, I told my family, I said, "Hey, I want to make the move. I want to risk it. I want to do something different. I feel like that could be a good opportunity for me." And nothing less. I think in 2 months, I was already there for summer school, and I was already training with the team. So it was something that, if I look back, is probably the best decision that I made in my life was to kind of make this move and start my life in the United States. I didn't know anything about college soccer or little about the soccer itself in the United States. And as I made the transition and I started to have my life in the United States, I started to learn and starting to be more exposed to it. And but yeah, that's kind of how I ended up going to America.
Obviously, Montverde is a highly regarded academy in all of the U.S. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. It's put up there even higher in some like soccer than something like IMG, which is ingrained in every single American football lover. That everybody knows who IMG is, and Montverde
Mhm.
takes it even step higher. And obviously that move worked out for you when it comes to just playing. Because if I saw right, when you were there, you guys only lost 7 matches and you won 2 championships. Is that right?
Oh, we actually didn't lose a match when I was there.
Of course.
So yeah, yeah, we had it was funny. We had a high school record of 130 something games without losing. So that was something cool. It lasts around 8 years. So at least when I was there, we didn't lose a game. So that was nice. I think we actually tied a couple of those games that you said it. Um, but we had a, like I said, it's a strong academy. It's a very well done job that developing players and making sure that you're not only learning the game and developing, but you're also getting a good education and preparing yourself for the next step of your life, regardless of what it is. If you're going to play professionally, if you're going to play college, or if you're just there to get an education and get a job or go to college. So, it's I have um, a highly respect and appreciation for the opportunity that I had at Montverde. And I still maintain my connections over there. I think during the off season, I go there and I train there, and I still maintain contact with a lot of friends that I made there. So that's cool.
So you said it prepared you for living the collegiate and the professional life. Coming out of high school, there were some places that had you considered to be the best prospect coming out of high school. So you had a ton of offers from going to Boston, UCLA, some other schools within Florida, but you decided to go to Wake Forest. What brought you to that point?
Yeah, so whenever I made my move to come into United States, I didn't know anything about college soccer. So I had that vision that I wanted to play professionally. That was my dream. My whole life, it was my dream to become a professional player. Um, and as I started to play at Montverde, I started to get recruited by schools, and students started reaching out, even through social media or emails or phone calls. And then I started to do my research. I said it. Let's just check it out and see how it is and what's to do with it. So I started watching games and reading some news and I got to meet to the ACC conference. And ACC conference is, at least in soccer, is the strongest conference in the country. So, and I started to look at the clubs and the universities in that conference, and Wake Forest was the one that I fell in love with it. Um, so I watched the games, and I look at the pictures and the style of the game and how they play and the success of the program, and everything just for me just checked. But it was funny how it happened, because it was already my senior year, and I had a lot of schools that were just reaching out and kind of waiting for me to make a decision. But I wanted to go to Wake Forest, and I just made my mind to it. But Wake Forest, at that point, it was already late. They didn't have a scholarship for me, so I was just waiting my whole fall semester. I was trying to find something and get to a situation where I can be a part of the program. But it just wasn't happening. So whenever I came home during Christmas break, so pretty much this time of the year, my senior year in high school, I was just telling my family and my mom, we were sitting down saying, "Mom, I don't know what's gonna happen in my life in 6 months whenever I finish high school. The school that I want to go, that I want to go, doesn't really can't really have me there in the program. They already have the spots are full, so I might have to go to a different school. I mean, I had a lot of good schools to go, and I'll definitely be appreciative of the opportunity, but it wasn't my number one choice. So as I'm talking to her in the couch, I got a phone call from the Wake Forest coach saying that, I don't know if you ever heard of him, but Jack Harrison, it's a player that now plays in the Premier League, and he left Wake Forest to go play professionally. And because he left, I was able to go to Wake Forest. So it was
Wow.
just funny how it all happened. As I was talking to my family, I received a phone call that I was able to go to Wake Forest. So that was pretty cool. And then we hugged each other, and then that was a cool moment. Um, but that's kind of how my transition from high school to college happened, and I think it was also a very good decision that I made to go to Wake Forest. I'm extremely appreciative of the opportunity that they gave me to be a part of the program and be there and get an education as well. So
I mean, those are quite big shoes you had to fill by taking that scholarship spot. But everything I've ever read and everything I've seen from you whenever I watched you play in college, I mean, you filled those shoes perfectly. Like you were outstanding in college. Before we get to your collegiate playing career, this podcast, weirdly enough, has several North Carolina people from North Carolina who listen, and I got probably about
hmm
4 or 5 messages of the same thing to ask you if you ever got your hair cut by the legend Dean Shore.
Uh, I actually never got a haircut by him. He's actually a very close friend of mine, and we see each other, and he takes pictures of us in the games. But I never got a haircut with him. Every time that I went to his shop, I think he was busy or he already had somebody, so I end up having to cut my hair with somebody else. But yeah, D Shore is a legend. He's a very very nice guy, and everybody on campus know him, so that's cool.
Well, I mean, I when I sent out the tweet and I sent out a message to some of my buddies, I was like, "Hey, ask Bruno Lapa questions." Within 30 minutes, 4 or 5 different messages saying, "Ask him about Dean Shore," and I was like, "Why is this barber just so famous? Why does everybody know this guy?"
Yeah, he just a legend on campus, and I think just his personality, how he is, and how he embraced the Wake Forest community. Everybody just loves him, and so it's pretty cool. Whenever he goes to the games, he's always there, and he supports us and takes pictures of us, and I think that's pretty cool. Like he does it all, and he just everybody knows him and has a big respect for him.
So let's go ahead and get into your playing career at Wake Forest. Let's just start with freshman year, where admittedly it looks like that you didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but you come up as a freshman, national championship, you have to take a penalty against Stanford to tie up the kicks. What kind of stress were you under at that moment as a freshman in national title, a guy who didn't play a minute in that match, and you're having to level it up?
Yeah, it was definitely a cool moment my freshman year. Like you said, I wasn't playing as much and probably not as much as everybody as I wanted and everybody wants to play. But in the end of the day, I think we're all a big family in the program, and I had a lot of I think everybody taking PKs in that day. They all play professionally today, so even though they're older than me, they gave me the support and they told me that they trusted me. So for me, that was enough for me to go there and just help the team to continue to stay alive in the penalty kick. But um, I think I think the leadership in the program from the moment that I stepped there is pretty big, and the culture that we have at Wake Forest is huge. It's massive. So for me, going to take a PK even though I didn't play in the game was it wasn't a big nervous moment. I think everybody trusted me and knew that doing training I was scoring the PK. So for me, it was a cool moment, and I'm glad that I was able to at least convert my PK and help the club.
So, uh, obviously, if someone's listening to this, they can't see me. But if you look at me, you probably can tell that I never did collegiate sports. So I don't know what this experience is like. But like I said, you're recruited a ton coming out of high school, and your first goal came against FIU, who recruited you. When you were going into that
hmm
match, were you just thinking about like, man, I could have been playing there? Or was there ever a moment like that? Or was it just like, oh, that's cool. I was recruited. Let's just win.
I think there's always the respect, and especially for the coaching staff that talked to you and gave you an opportunity to be a part of their program. So every time that play against a club that the coach or actually made a visit to that school, you make sure to show them the respect and the appreciation that and the opportunity that they gave you. But at the same time, you want to do your best for the program that you are part of. So I think he doesn't. I don't think everybody really feels it I mean, unless there's a situation which is not mine where something happened and there's a little bit of a of a bad relationship between a player and a coach. But for me, that wasn't the case. So scoring goals and doing my part for Wake Forest was never the problem. Just because I'm playing against a club that recruited me, I think even by the end of the game, I think there's a mutual respect between players and coaches. So they would say they would say good job to you, and you also always say good job to them. Um, but that's funny. I actually forgot about my first goal against FIE. That's cool.
Moving on from your freshman year, you starting your sophomore year, you became a main sub, and then from there on, your career just skyrocketed. I mean, every single thing that I've ever read, every single highlight that I've seen, every match that I watched of yours, you were a set piece specialist, dude. Like there was nowhere you could not just drop a ball. I mean, it's insane to watch. What kind of goes through your mind when you're getting ready to take take a set piece, or more or less, especially when you're in college, when you're not as refined as maybe you are now?
I think it's all about just, I mean, be able to help the team, and I think if you talk to Bobby Mew, the head coach of Wake Forest, he probably still doesn't like my set pieces to this day. But it's funny how we joke about it. But it's I mean, it's just there's not really much to think. I think it's all about training and the set pieces that we have and the plays that we have combined and the signals and things like that. Just make sure everybody do their role. So if my role is sometimes crossing or passing or doing something, everybody's on the same page. So you just want to make sure that you do your best for the program. But yeah, like you said, going I think was a process for me going to college and kind of having more minutes each year and learning from older players. I think that was massive for me. I play with guys that I look up to this day. Um, so those players helped me develop through my college career, and I was learning more and I was sharpening myself and my abilities each time more and making sure that I put the program first and I'm learning the culture and be a part of the program. So by the time I got to my junior year and things were I was already a big part of the um I already had a big part of the programming me and how things work over there. So that was and then it was just natural. I think the trust that the staff gave me and the players I think it was just a very cool moment and enjoyable 2 seasons. My last 2 seasons at Wake Forest.
So you said at the very end, talking about your last two seasons at Wake Forest. I mean, obviously you were a big success. You were an All American your junior and senior year. Junior year, you were ACC Midfielder of the Year, and which is all really cool awards. And you were all ACC your senior year. But something I'm super interested about is you played semi-professional during that time, your junior year with SEMA, and then your senior year with NC Fusion with their top team, but it was the U23s. What's that kind of like doing club and semi-professional while you're also in college?
Um, so so yeah, during the summer you don't really you're not really playing with your college program. So so it's pretty much everybody's vacations. So playing during the summer is more just for you to continue to stay sharp, but you need to stay ready for the season in the fall. So that was also a cool experience for me to just play with the different players and different program and but at the same time continue to apply the things that I learned at Wake Forest during the summer to make sure that whenever I go back for the season, I'm ready to go. So, but that's part of it. I think you just kind of sacrificing summers and vacations and seeing family to make sure that you're ready for the fall and continue to stay sharp. So, also, the Fusion gave me my last summer the opportunity to be a part of the program and we're successful. We won our conference, so that was cool. And the coaches and the directors over there, the very very cool and professional people that gave me the opportunity. So I'm really appreciative of that. Um, and it was nice. It was good. I think I played also with other Wake Forest players too. So we all went together we were staying on campus and we're just driving there. So that was nice. Still able to be with your friends and play during the summer and continue to stay sharp and stay fit. So that's pretty cool, and to have a little bit of a different taste of not only playing the college soccer but also playing a bit of semi-pro ball.
So, I mean, I could be wrong on my timeline here, but your junior year with SEMA, I'm pretty sure that you ended up having a chance to play in the U.S. Open Cup,
Hmm.
um, which, funny enough, because of how the year worked, you didn't get a chance to do with the Legion. How was playing
Hmm.
in an Open Cup match, knowing that it's a massive tournament, one of the biggest in the US? What's your preparation going in? Especially generally, you're getting shorter rest in those kind of matches than you do in others.
No, it's definitely it's important, and it's a cool experience to play in that big tournament. I think it's just the same preparation as always. You just want to make sure that you're at your best at that for that game, and you want to make sure that um, that you want to do your best. You're playing, even though you're playing in the summer, you're playing with guys, especially at SEMA, which is a club that I went to high school with. So that Monverde Academy, that was pretty much, so that SEMA was pretty much a lot of alums that went back in the summer to make a team. So you with your friends and everybody there's wants to continue to stay sharp and ready for the next level. So that was cool. That was a good experience and preparation for it.
So before we move to your fully professional career, your senior year, this was just something I thought was mind boggling. Your senior year, you scored 6 game winners. Do you just have like ice in your veins? Like what how in the world are you so clutch? Because with the Legion, we see it all the time. You are just calm, cool, and collected. Is it just a mindset thing, a confidence thing, or is it a combination?
I think yes, I think it's a little bit of preparation, but at the same time, I was playing at Wake Forest with such great players around me. So um, might be the guy that ended up scoring the goal, but if it wasn't for the guys setting me up and helping me out in the plays and doing their jobs, I would never be able to do that. So up to this day, I think every year that I'm there, I play with great players. Everybody in the program wants to get better and push each other. So there's a lot of great players at Wake Forest. So for me, just being the guy that scores it doesn't really defines that you know I score game winner, but sometimes there are guys that set up and do the whole play, just pretty much tap in. So and the same thing with the Legion. I think we had a great offensive power this season, that you have such great players around you, and they help you out and they set you up for goals. Then at the end of the day, I think who scores a goal is that sometimes not even the most important player in that play. So, but again, just I think I was fortunate to score those game winners, but at the same time, I think it's a collective job that everybody helps when we score goals, especially Wake Forest. They would like to possess and play and keep the ball. So that's just how it is.
So I've watched your interview with Devin on Three Honest Lads when it came out earlier this year, and they touched on your process and from going to college to USL and the whole MLS fiasco. We don't have to go over that. If you're listening to this and you want to hear that, go listen to Three Honest Lads. They're awesome anyway. I love Devin and Mike, but
Mhm.
um going from college to, I mean, admittedly, probably being pretty disappointed to not being MLS. I mean, you seized your opportunity from the very first time that you touched the ball. What was your process going from college to being a full professional?
Yeah, like you said, I discussed a little bit with Evan earlier this year. But yeah, coming out of college, you have some expectations and you have some dreams that you want to fulfill, and one of them was to be in the MLS and be drafted. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I think, like you said, there's a few things that come into it. I think my international situation and things like that. But again, I think it all happens for a reason. Looking back at this year in 2020, which was a crazy year for me, being a part of the Legion organization might have been the best thing that happened to me this year. They trusted me, they gave me the opportunity. And I was extremely excited to be a part of the organization from the moment that I talked to Tommy on the on the phone. They wanted me there, and that's just how it happened. And one thing led to another, and I think we're pretty successful this year. And that's just how it all happened. But I think looking back, what happened in the draft and things like that is not something that bothers me. He actually just motivated me more to continue to press, continue to stay ready for my opportunity, and to be a part of the Legion organization. That again really appreciative that they gave me the chance and they took me in, and I think it worked out pretty well for us.
So obviously, everybody knows you as the goal scorer, as having one of the nastiest assists we saw all year with the play against Charlotte. I mean, you're absolutely insane with the ball at your feet. But one of the things that I noticed is, man, you are just a great leader on the pitch. Even probably off it, but obviously we can't really see that. I mean, you are playing with a bunch of players like Matt Van Okel, like Mikey. I mean, Akinyode, I'm pretty sure was a captain for a professional team, and you seem to be just as much of a leader as they are. I mean, is there any kind of mindset that you have of saying of just trying to get your one of your teammates maybe out of trouble, or just something of having to communicate on the pitch? Is that something that you're actively thinking about, or is it just natural?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you want to when you become a part of of a club and you have players around you and you kind of you see them every day, and I don't see my family every day. They become your family, and they become the people that you want to spend time with, and you want to make sure that everybody's the same page, and you want to be successful with. So I think we have a lot of great leaders in the team. I've been learning every day a lot of the older guys. Like you mentioned, some of them, MVO, Mikey, Bolu, and Daigo, guys like that, and Nico, guys that have been playing for a while and have some experience, and you just want to absorb that. I just absorb, I just listen, and I just make sure that I take in. But at the same time, everybody's leader in some way, somehow, when they're doing things. No matter if it's your first season, if it's your last season, you have some responsibility to lead. Even if you just, as an example, you don't have to say anything, but if you just do things away, do that, and they can do the same thing. So for me, it's just about making sure that everybody is leading their own way, and for me, I just, like I said, continue to learn, constantly learning, and taking in from guys that know a lot from the game. So, um, and in the pitch and in the game, we just help each other. We all want to win. We want to be successful. And I think that's a great thing. Throughout this year, we're all helping each other, especially during this crazy situation with the pandemic and COVID. Everybody was just there for each other. We would take care of each other, and we were just helping everybody to be successful. And I think it just shows. I think nobody in the club tested positive for COVID throughout the whole season. So that was just a representation, and everybody was just following the protocols and taking care of each other and making sure that we do things the right way so we can play all the games and extend our season. So that's something that the club does a great job, starting from the coaching staff and everybody up there, being great leaders that just pass down for everybody, and us as players.
I want to get to the 2020 season and how that affected you and everybody else, because I'm sure that it was super difficult. I don't doubt that whatsoever. But I just want to tell you, because I was just thinking about it as you're kind of talking about sticking up for each other and all that. Probably my single favorite moment from this season was, okay, I want to preface this with Anderson Asidu is probably one of my favorite players of all time. I want to preface it with that. I know he is super aggressive, and I love the dude to death. But there was one day that
Hmm.
he got called for kind of a kind of a chippy foul, and he went over to tell one of the refs something, and you pulled him away, and like somebody else grabbed him, and then you started right on the ref yourself, telling them that they had no idea what they were doing or something like that. That's what I took away from it. Is there sometimes, like, a player on your team is a little bit more aggressive or more likely to get into it with a ref and you kind of have to keep an eye on them? Or is it just something like you kind of see it happen and you're like, okay, don't say that, but you're right?
Yeah, I think in the heat of the game and the moment sometimes we all get a little bit heated, and I think like you mentioned, Anderson's a very, very passionate guy, and I think we all love him in the club. But we all just want to stick it for each other, like you said, and help each other and making sure that we're winning and we're winning together. And I think we all help everybody. So sometimes Anderson helps me, I help him, and I think not only him but everybody. So we all just a big family, and that's just the culture that we establish in the club. Um, and I think there are situations where you think the ref is wrong, and you just go over there and you just want to talk to the ref and making sure that your teammate's not getting a card or something like that just because the ref is making a mistake. So, but we all just want to make sure that at the same time we don't let the ref get in between our heads and and between the game that we're playing. So we want to focus on the game. We want to focus on winning, and we don't want to let anybody else distract us from it. So if it's the defense from the other team, or if it's the ref, or if it's anything, we just want to make sure that we focus on the game, focus on winning, and we get the job done. So that's just the mentality that we all have in the club.
It's so impressive to me how all together you guys are, because I don't think there's ever been a time that I've watched, even before you came around in the first season, or even when the Legion weren't around and it was the Birmingham Hammers. It always seemed like you guys were a unit, and obviously that starts at the top, but that is just so impressive to me. But obviously you said something else came from the top, and that
Mm.
was kind of teaching the culture of how this season was going to go and the stresses of this season. What were the protocols like for this season, and how was your daily life when you're trying to deal with being as as fit as possible, as sharp as possible, all while not getting COVID?
Yeah, I know it was definitely like you said, pretty stressful season, a pretty stressful situation for us to deal with, and I think it all started with the little things. So we were all had to um, you know take our clothes home after training and wash them. For example, we couldn't shower in the locker room. There's a lot of little things that I think had to be adjusted um, for us to be able to have a season. So in the beginning, when everything was happening, we weren't even sure if you're gonna have a season or not. So for us to be able to play and even more in front of our fans, that we really appreciative, and they're awesome for us. It was something great. So we were willing to do everything that it takes to be able to have that season and play in front of our fans and do what we love the most. So even in traveling, we had to be in specific rooms with the people they live with, and you can only do certain things, and you can only go out to do essential stuff. So it was a pretty different year for us, but we all made it through, and I think we can call it a successful season because we're able to play in front of our fans, which is awesome, and but at the same time stay safe and not get any complications with the pandemic.
So, I mean, obviously you said it was stressful, and I don't doubt it. I'm still in school, and I go to class and I'm stressed out of my mind because I'm like, man, where's everybody else been? What's going on? I couldn't imagine having to have to say I have a team that I have to keep safe as well, and also your friends and your family that are there. But when you get to the end of the season, obviously it didn't, the very end of the season didn't end how obviously everybody would have wanted it to. But how was that feeling of knowing you're going to the playoffs after having just such a weird and nasty year?
It was good. It was good. I think it was at the same time a little bit of a we wanted more just because we started so well. I think it was a good season for us, but we kind of fall short not being able to play that playoff game at home. We were all looking forward to that, and unfortunately, we have to play away. But it was a good season. I think we can call it a good season. You have to go through those ups and downs as a team and stick together and learn and just continue to be there for each other. Because whenever you're winning, um, I think it's easy to go through those day to day trainings and relationships. But whenever you're losing, you are not getting the results that you expect. That's when you really get to know each other and you get to know your team. And I think and that was great to see how whenever the results weren't coming for us, we were still sticking together as a team and we're still doing things together and we're still pushing each other to be better. So that was something great that we learned from each other. And I think the coaching staff and the players were all stick together with it, and we were there for each other during those moments. But like you said, like making the playoffs was something that it was our goal throughout the season. But I think we still have that little hunger to be able to play that playoff game at home, and that's gonna be our main focus next season, to be able to have our fans in front of us in the playoffs, and we can make a run and bring a championship home.
You several times during this interview, you've mentioned the fans and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you this year you had the not really the luxury, but I guess just the experience of experiencing a stadium full of people and one that would, or maybe not full, but of ones with fans and some that didn't have any at all. How was that atmosphere? And did you have to kind of create your own juice, or was it we just got to go out there and play our game?
Nah, it was awesome. I think for us to be able to play our games in front of our fans was massive. I think we have such great fans in Birmingham, and I think the support that we receive day in day out in every game is just amazing. And for us to be able to go to BBVA Field and have the fans out there, it just made us stronger. And for us, whenever we went to play away and there were no fans, that was good for us too, because that made a little bit more of a neutral side. And but for us, whenever we play at home, it was great. I think we're all excited to be in front of our fans, and I know that we could have way more fans, and I think hopefully next season we can have that stadium packed. But because of the protocols, it was limited. But at the same time, if it felt packed sometimes, it felt like certain situations in the game where the fans were supporting us. It just felt like the whole stadium was behind us, and that's great, and that's what we want. We want to play for our fans and to play and to make sure that they are there every game supporting us, and we're getting wins every time that we play at home.
This is something I've always wondered. This is going to be one question before I get to some more questions that I received. But just some I've always
Hmm.
wondered. I know that you guys can hear fans. Sometimes you can hear, you can hear chants or certain things. Has there just ever been something that you've heard from either home or opposing fans that was just so ridiculous that that it kind of broke, not really broke you, like made you mad, but like just made you laugh or just say, what in the world is this guy or girl talking about? Have you had that experience?
No, probably it's just not something right now that I can think of. If I remember, I can tell you later. But because you're just into the game and you're just there playing, sometimes it's not really something specific that you're gonna listen. It's just the overall noise and the overall things that the reactions from people and things like that. You're not really getting everybody's voice individually in your head and you're processing them, because you're so into the game, and sometimes you even don't listen to anything. You just focus on the game. And but most of the time it's just more like overall reactions, if the fans are applauding or if they screaming or something. So well, I think maybe whenever I would take a corner kick, somebody from the opposite team just say some stuff to you, and you just sometimes laugh at them, and you kind of interact quickly with them. But nothing too crazy, I think.
So I have some questions that I received from the guys down at Birmingham Sports, which is who this podcast is presented by. I have a few.
Hmm.
So first one is, what's your overall just kind of game day routine? Specifically, is there like certain meals that you eat or certain drinks that you drink? Kind of what take us through the day game day.
Yeah, so I really like coconut water, and I think that's something that I use to hydrate myself. So I always drink two of those on game days. one before I leave for the stadium and one when I get to the stadium. So that's that. I really like avocados, so whenever I have some avocados at home, I'm taking that on game days. And I like to keep it simple too. Just some pasta and some chicken, something just nothing too crazy. You don't want to really try something new on a game day and that doesn't work out for you. So there's that. But a lot of hydration, especially whenever it's high, and then you just want to be able that you don't want to cramp and you want to be able to play and run all game. So in terms of meals and things like that, that's kind of how I that's the main things that I do on game days.
Do you have anything specific that you like to listen to, or are you just kind of take all the noise out and just soak in the moment?
I like Brazilian music a lot, some reggaeton and Spanish music, and pretty much those Brazilian music and some Spanish music. That's kind of my game day music to go. Um, but sometimes I just leave it on shuffle and I listen to everything and let it and just let it happen.
So obviously 2021 is coming up soon. It's time to start making those, New Year's resolutions and whatnot. Do you have any goals, whether it's for you just as a person or as a footballer? Like, what's some goals that you have coming up for the year?
I think first of all, just make sure that we're all staying safe, and myself included, and my family, and everybody in the club and the fans and everybody just making sure that 2021 is a better year for us overall. That we can get through this moment and this pandemic. So for me, that's the main thing, and definitely I think my next thing would be bringing a championship home. I think it's a goal from the club. The club is improving, is doing things right, and is it's excited for next year. So for us, that's the main goal for us to be able to bring a championship back to Birmingham, and we're gonna do everything that we can to make that happen.
All right. Last question I have from the Birmingham Sports Group. If you were a coach, what would your general tactics be as a coach? Would you just be pushing everybody forward, having 11 people in the box, even having Matt Van Okel sitting there like he did? Or would, like, generally, how would you play if you were the coach?
I'll put MVO up there. He helped us to score a goal, so he'll definitely be up there in the corners. But I think I'll be a possession style team. I think I really like to keep the ball. I'll make sure that I have technical players in my team to keep the ball and possess it and create quality chances. And I think that would be pretty much my main goal. It doesn't really have to be everybody going forward. I think just more like a balanced team, not really everybody forward, everybody back. I think it's just make sure that we keep the ball and we possess it. Um, because that's kind of how I like to play individually. So that's probably my style will be as a coach. But at the end of the day, as a coach, you have to adjust and you have to be able to figure situations out in the moment and with the players that you have. So it would be tough to have just a specific style. But if I had to choose one, it'd probably be more the possession type of team.
So it's kind of funny that you say that because, at least from what I've watched with the Legion, again, I've never played anything past pickups, when it comes to playing the game. But I mean, just from what I've noticed, I mean, you guys seem to be a really just quick counterattack team. I mean, this is me not blowing smoke, but I mean,
hmm
when I was watching you guys, I mean, you guys have the best just one touch passes I've seen at any level in American football at all. I've never seen just players just being able to barely tap the ball and just get from one person to one person. So it seemed to be very counterattack heavy. Is that something that you guys practice, or is that just kind of how the team is assembled and just everybody can excel at it?
I think yeah, I agree with you. That was something that really worked out for us this season. I think we're the quick attacks that we call. We're able to catch teams not prepared for us, so we're successful and we're able to get to their box quickly, and that's something that Tommy worked with us. So that's good that he were able to see that. I think um, that's something that worked out for us too. And but it all depends on the game and the situation. Sometimes you're gonna have to defend more. Sometimes you're gonna keep the ball more, and sometimes you're gonna counter attack more. So I think it's about being able to recognize those moments and take chances whenever you need to take chances. So for us, I think just those attacks and those quick moments worked out well for us, and I'm sure that that's going to be a focus for us to continue to be successful in those moments.
So, kind of going in the same vein of practice and working with Coach Tommy and whatnot, as we are in a obviously a technology age, how has analytics came has analytics come into the game at all for the USL level, or is it very bare basic? How has that work for you guys?
No, we do use a lot of those. So we wear GPSs every training and game, so we know the data when it comes to the distance that you cover, how much you run, and how many times you're accelerating and whatnot. So we use a lot of those to make sure that everybody's covering ground and stay on top of the workload, and also in trainings to make sure that we're not overtraining or undertraining players. So we do have a lot of those. And when it comes to video and video analysis, we also do a lot of that when it comes to our games and what we need to do better. But if we, for example, whenever we're gonna play as a team, we also analyze what they're good at and what they're bad at and what we're gonna explore and how it's gonna be our game plan. So there's a lot of those, and we make sure that just prepare we can go perform and win games.
Is there any like piece of analytics, any kind of number? Is there any one that's most important to you, or is it all just kind of you're kind of told what's important?
No, really something specific. I just like to analyze as overall and how I do things and kind of how things are going for me as an overall thing. Not really something specific. Just sometimes just see how much I ran in the game, just so I can see. Oh my God, I ran too much. But but besides that, it was um just whenever we have the data, I just like to analyze and continue to improve on the things that we need to improve when it comes to our meetings and discussions as a team.
So this year with 2020, it was a weird, it was kind of an interesting schedule where you ended up playing the same teams just over and over and over again. And a team I can, at least for me as a fan, someone like Charlotte Independence, for at least for me and for us, if that started becoming a pretty important rivalry for the fans, is that something that you, the players, could feel? Could you tell that that kind of energy was ramping up, or is every day just another game day?
Yeah, it was definitely different having to play the teams over and over. By the fourth game, you already became friends with the with the guys in the other team, so that was a little bit interesting. But in the end of the day, we were all just glad that we were playing and we were having a season. Because at some point we didn't even think we were gonna have one. So we're excited to play those games, and like you mentioned, the teams in our group, you play them more, and you kind of get those rival feelings sometimes. And but it's all in a good sportsmanship, and I think Charlotte's a good team, and I think we had some great games against them, and just against with Memphis as well, and North Carolina. So they're all good teams, and for us, just having to play the same team is definitely is different. But at the same time, we were happy that we were playing, especially in front of our fans. So so that's just how it went down. But hopefully next year we can have more games with more clubs.
So I only have a few more questions, and I'll let you go. But just some questions just about you. In your free time, what's something that you just like to do when you're not thinking about soccer and you're not, at on their training?
I really like to talk to my family. I have a good relationship with my sister and my dad and my mom. So I really, especially when I'm away, I just like to talk to them and kind of spend some time with them on FaceTime or whatever we're doing. So for me, I like to do that. And when I cook some food at home too. I think I've been learning and I've been cooking more and more. So I think whenever I do that, and Bolu got me to cook a lot this year, because we were living together. So shout out to Bolu for teaching me cooking. But so pretty much those things. Those are
What was Bolu's favorite thing that you made for him? What was up there?
uh. I think the thing with Bolo, he's vegan, so we don't really eat the same things. So I can't really cook for him because he has his diet. But one thing that we have in common that we eat was avocado. So sometimes he will eat mine, I'll eat his, and we all fight for it. But that's that's probably the only thing that we can share with each other.
Well, I guess that kind of makes it convenient when it comes to buying groceries. So,
Yes, yeah, yes, it does.
so just two more questions for you. Is there anything that you would like to tell the fans about yourself? What's something about yourself that most people, I guess, don't know?
Mm. Um, I don't know if there's anything specific. I mean, it's just I just I mean, at the end of the day, when you're working when you're playing for a club, you just want to make sure that you do your best to for the fans. I think that's also my goal. So um whenever you're playing, whenever you're out there in the field, you just wanna make the fans happy and you wanna make them proud. So for me, that's kind of my mindset. I don't know if a lot of people think the same way as me, but um, so especially with Birmingham fans, the way they took me in and the way they support me every game, and not only me but but the club as a whole. You just want to make sure that you can score and want to score every game for them, and they want to so they can go home happy and happy with a win.
Well, like you kind of touched it on already, but just last question for you: is there anything that you would like just to tell the fans? If you could tell the fans and have them sit down one on one with you, what's something that you would just like to tell them, man?
I think more of a little bit of the same that we think of them and we play for them and we want to make sure that 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 they are happy and they're more excited to come next game. And I think they can be definitely very excited for next season. I think we're all planning something pretty big and we're working for it. Everybody's hungry. Everybody we whenever we talk with everybody and we connect with other players. Everybody's just working and making sure that we are ready, regardless of when the season is going to start. We want to make sure that we're staying on top of our trainings, and whenever the season starts, we want to do something special next season. So the fans can be definitely excited for what's coming.
Well, Bruno, man, I cannot thank you enough for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I know I saw earlier this season that you got an extension, so hopefully, we can see you for years to come. But hey, if your chance to go up to MLS comes, could not be more happy for you. It could not come to someone more deserving. Could not thank you enough for coming on to the podcast, man.
Thanks, Kurt. Well, I really appreciate it. It's a very fun talk to be here with you and then discuss a little bit. And whenever you want to do this again, I'm open for it. So, looking forward for next season, and hopefully we can do this again, and I can see you there at the stadium so we can get more wins.
Appreciate it, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Take care.